new cover. Okay. There we go. Alright, so we'll lay the cover. There's two seams at the corners here. I'll lay that straight down with those away from me. Those are the front. The seams are at the front. And this side of it's the front because this is where the latch goes onto here. So that's where that is. So I know that's the front. We're going to set the two corners. Let's look at those suckers. Okay, that's looking good. Alright, we're going to come back in. I'm going to glue. I'm going to set some glue through here. I'm going to set this. And I'm going to stretch it. Pull it real tight here. I'm going to glue across the back now. Get those set, then we're going to do our ends, and then we'll work our way around the rest of it. So, there we go. So this is a contact adhesive. So once I spray it on both surfaces, I spray it with some air afterwards for a little while and get it to kind of dry up a little bit, get really tacky. So when I pull it around and push it on, it'll stick pretty good. And then, but if you need to pull it back up and readjust, you can peel it back off. So it's nice to have that so you can continue to adjust. So there we go. Push that forward. Okay. Pull this around. Okay, kind of flathead. Kind of push it down into these grooves a little bit. Pull it nice and tight. Now, so that glue's just going to help me just kind of leave it tacked in place there. So now we're going to glue across the back, and we're going to be able to pull that and wrap around and get the rear set. So I'll make sure this is pulled tight. It's going to look nice. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so glue again. Okay, now. Set. Okay. Pull this in. Looks pretty good. This is where one of the screw holes is. I'm just going to cut that out. Same thing there. Okay, nice. Alright, so we're nice and tight from front to back there. Alright, we're going to run the sides here. There we go, that'll be nice. Okay, glue. I'm going to work from the front to the back, so I'm going to glue here. I'm not going to glue all the way down. I'm going to glue the front real quick and start getting this corner on and rolled around, then I'll work my way back. Okay. There we go. Alright. Pull that tight. So there's a big groove right here on this side of the groove. I'm going to start to kind of go around and wedge these down into the here so it fills in this groove. That groove is filled up with the material. So just like this, just rolling it down in. There we go. All right, I'm going to hit that with some glue. Corner looks good. We'll glue that and keep on going. front corner looking nice. All right, we're gonna go to the other side. Here we go. Glue. Now, screwdriver. From time to time, we have people that select all leather option for these type of seats, and I can see why, but the real reason, one of the main reasons that they put vinyl on these lids is there's not much room clearance wise for the thickness of the material. And so if you try to recover this in all leather on the top, trying to wedge all the material down into these grooves and everything makes it's so much thicker that it makes it a lot harder to install and then be able to put it back together. So when you put it back together with all the threads being plastic, you can't really torque it down. So sometimes it's real hard to get everything to go back together, so that when you have it all put together and you close the lid and the latch connects, the latch will just kind of barely hold on. And so, because everything's so much thicker in there, sometimes when that happens, you hit a bump when you're driving, then the console lid opens up, which will drive you nuts. So it can be done. It's a lot more difficult, and you run the risk of it not holding all together right and the latch not latching properly like it should. Some of these corners, I'm going to come back with a staple gun and run some staples through it just to hold them down really good. Let's see what I got in here. There we go. I got a 1/4 inch in there. Now you want to adjust your air pressure on these, because if you got it cranked way up, it's just going to rip. It's going to blow right through the vinyl. So I'm going to dial this sucker back. I always kind of just test it on some of the wood. Way high. Get this down. 80. I'll back up. Working. There we go, jammed. we go. It's running about 60 psi there. All right, we'll see. All right, so one of the main benefits of this type of staple gun is you got a long nose on it, so you can get down into these crevices. So that's what we really found that really helps, because you can get down deep in the corners with it. There we go. Go. All right, that all looks pretty good. I'm gonna come clean this front up edge up a little bit. Okay. There we go. We'll come back. I'm going to trim that excess off here shortly. I'm going to get the rest of this kind of down the groove. Now on the first, because this is the first edge I set, that's why I just kind of peeled it over and just stuck it, just to have an anchor point so that I could start pulling on the back to set it. And so once it's all set on there, I can really get it down in the groove, but it's harder to get it set in the groove first. You can do it that way. I've done it that way before. Just this time I just kind of pulled it to set it, and then I can get some of the rest of this other side set, then I can come back and kind of wedge this down in here and trim the excess off. And that's good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to shoot a little bit more glue on this front piece for the center to wrap around where the latch goes. All right, and we're gonna come back, trim our excess off. We're gonna make sure that all the little stumps that come through here that the screws go back into, we're gonna make sure they're clear and they're not covered up with material, so that we can thread that little screw back in it. there's that. Let's get this piece. Stick it back on. Pum, 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 pum. That's the front there. There we go. Alright, grab all of our little silver screws here. Actually, the black Torx, never mind. Okay. So I'm going to turn this down to real low so I can't over torque it. And it's shallow enough you can see the hole where it's threaded in pretty easy from the top. Kind of a good way to tell if you got it tight enough when you have it on. If you can push down on the material on the plastic here and see it start to gap between the screw and the plastic, then you can tighten it down a little bit. If you push down on it and there's no gapping, it doesn't move, you know you're good. So that way you can continue to just tighten a little bit more here. There we go. There we go. All right. One console lid recovered. Perfect. Now, we're gonna move to the next piece. This little guy here. So, we got the rim removed. Just go ahead and throw this to the side. And we need to put the foam and this frame back together on here. So we'll flip this over. Alright. The foam back on. There we go. The frame needs to go on first though. There we go. Okay, now let's screw this guy back on. Grab all my little chrome screws here, Phillips heads. This. Change that on from my Torx back to my Phillips. Okay. Go. Okay, all right. Now, foam. Got it. Okay, cover. Here we are. All right, so we're going to go and wrap this around. And it's going to be very, very similar to the console lid we just did, and we're going to glue around the rim, wrap it over, hook it in, wedge it in with a screwdriver, staple our corners. Voila. So here you want to make sure your seams, so we got this double stitch line on the edges. You want to make sure that's lining up with the corners where it falls over. And you can line up this contour in the foam here with this part of the cover too, so you can see how far forward it needs to go. That's right on the edge there where that corner's turning. And it's the double, and same thing here on that edge. So with that, we can kind of pull it over a little bit. It's not going to stay completely put just because we're going to be moving it around a bunch, but just go ahead and get it pulled on roughly in the right spot. And when we get to here, here we go. Okay, now what we're going to do, I'm probably going to set the back first. So you want to check all the edges to make sure that you got enough room that you can grab the material to stretch it up and be able to roll it around into the channel here. So being that this is vinyl, if you need more material, more stretch, heat it up. Take a heat gun, hair dryer, whatever you got. That's going to really help you to be able to pull and stretch it. So I'm going to have enough slack in the back where I can hook here, and then I'm going to go to the front. If I'm too short there, I'm going to come back on the front side. I'm going to heat the whole front with the heat gun, and then come back to the front. That's going to give me the stretch I need to pull around and really get the tuck in tight. And when that cools down, it's going to tighten right back up. So let's see here. Let's see if I got enough to pull and wrap. It looks like I do. And I can usually pull and wrap a whole lot better when it's away from my body. So pulling here, trying to pull up and roll when it's right in front of me is hard. Here I can brace against the frame. I can grab here and I can pull up because I can push down with my palms, and I can pull to wrap it around in. Okay, so it's a whole lot easier than trying to do it here, because then it's all just in your fingers trying to roll. Here you got some leverage to pull. So I'm going to go ahead and hit me some glue here on both sides. The material ain't on the plastic, and go and set the rear, and then see if I need to heat to wrap and roll on the front. So get my little Phillips head here. When it's all done, since we've been spraying glue all over it, once you got it all trimmed back in, the little panel, the little 1/4-inch rim back on it, you can see any spots that have any overspray on the adhesive. You can take an adhesive remover, spray, and you can wipe all that stuff will wipe off at the end. So don't worry about any kind of overspray stuff. When you're done, when the cover's on and complete and set, you'll be able to see the spots that you'll be able to still see when you open up the lid, the storage lid. And if you see any of the glue, then you can come back and take it off with an adhesive remover. It comes off pretty easy. So here we go. Stretch, pull that up. In there. There we go. set up really good. Okay, get some more glue on this corner. Okay, and on this side here, because the frame hooks into here, so we got to make sure if we pull this really tight, then this going to be real tight here, going on an angle. It's not going to be leaning up against the frame. So we're going to have some slack in there. So we're going to have to lay that in tight, lay that in up against the frame. I'm going to cut a little hole for the steel peg to come through, and then that way we can know our tension on how tight we need to set it to glue in here. But we've got the corner set, which is what we really need to get done there. Once we get the front, we'll come back and we'll start working on the sides, and then we'll address the slack issue on how much we need to leave in there for that pocket to lay in there right. Okay, there we go there. That's nice. Sweet, perfect. Okay, now let's look at our front. I always kind of give it a quick glance, make sure the seams are where they're supposed to be, around the edges. It looks nice. So at the front, I'm gonna see how much slack I got when I pull to see if I need to heat much. There's a little bit. I may run a little heat on it for a little bit to get a little bit more stretch, just be easier on my fingers here. Grab the heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, a hair dryer will work too. We're not getting the stuff just super crazy hot, but any bit helps. If it's summer, you know, you can just let it sit out in the sun for a little bit. That'll heat it up. But if you got a heat gun, go to town with it. Here we go. I always keep my hand on the material while I'm using the heat gun. If it's too hot to hold my hand there, I know I'm getting it too hot, take the heat gun away. So it's gonna stay there with it. So that way I know I don't keep it in the same spot too long, and because you can bake this stuff here. So there we go. Get some glue on it. that's looking good. Take a look at the cover. Yep, that's looking good. Okay, now we'll run down our sides. Glue. We're going to actually look on this side here. So here's where, see this metal peg coming through? That's part that goes into part of the feeds through part of the frame that goes on the side. So we're going to trim a hole for that guy so that we can get our material laid on here so we can get the right tension on that. Scissors, here we go. Run a small snip. Just run a little slit. There we go. About like that. So now we know we need to be filled in right about there. So that's about the material we need to wrap and tuck. So here we go. Good. Yep. All right. Next side. we go. So I'm holding my finger up in this cockpit here, so I don't make sure I don't tuck too much material in. So I'm kind of holding through there, so I know I don't tuck way too much in here and pull it too tight. There we go. All right. So here is our console. Boom. Okay, we'll set this to the side. We're gonna do the bottom part you sit on. Do that, and then we'll come back and start putting it all together. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so this guy, a couple clips underneath. So we'll take a flathead, pop these guys off. All right, I'm gonna take the 10 mil and pull these. Let's see, you got 5 bolts on the underneath side to drop this frame off because there's a couple clips here we can't get to because the frame's in the way. So we're gonna pull these guys off. Turn this back up. Set that to the side. Tens. All right. 2 more clips. There we go. Flip this off. What is this? It's new. Never seen that. All right. So, throw this to the side. Alright, this is kind of nasty. Let's see here. Alright, so because this cover's been this truck's been recovered before. Started off as a cloth XLT model. We had aftermarket leather put in it. So looks like they've added some extra foam on this 20 portion. We'll try to keep this purple stuff going everywhere. I'm gonna brush some of this off, and I'm gonna glue this back down over top of it. Let's see what. That's a new one to me. Okay, now, let's see if I can glue that down. Now, all right, before we put the cover on here, we need to put some of the framework back on the side because you can't get to the bolts when the cover's on it. So mainly this side here. The other side, this piece here is going to bolt on the outside through the cover. So that one's okay, but we need to get this thing bolted on here onto the side first. So these runs are 213. There we go. These guys. There we go. 13 mil, there we go. All right, now we'll grab our cover. Turn it inside out. Okay, now, all right, this lever it swivels up and down. So right now it's swiveled down just like the console lid's down for an armrest. So we're gonna lift it back up. This thing's under spring here. Let me see here, I need to. Okay, it's under tension. There we go. Okay, that locks in place. So we're going to feed the hole in the cover here down this piece here. All right, it's on. Okay. Roll our cover over. Flip it over here. Okay, hook our clips on. Get our front clip. There we go. Okay, now we're going to put our frame on the bottom. Here we go. Get my 10 mil set up. I'm going to feed our seatbelt to the elastic here on the side. There we go. Go. All right, we got 2 more tins. So the leg that's got the bend in it goes towards the front. Put them on backwards. It doesn't work out so well when you go to put it back in the truck because I've done that before. So here we go. Put these back on. Okay. Now, we'll come back over to this side. And we're going to put this guy on here. There's 3 bolts on this one. There's 2 long and 1 short. The short ones are going to go on the bottom 2, here and here, and the long one's going to go there. So there. Shorty. $13mm. Okay. Now we don't pre-cut a hole or anything on the side for the bolt that goes through the vinyl. You can take your impact and you can just drive it through. It'll rip through it'll puncture through the vinyl on the side. So once you got these 2, you're kind of lined up. There we go. There's that. Okay, so that's ready for that to go back on. Now we'll put this down. We're going to go ahead and do our last bit of trim here. Putting our the black plastic border around and go ahead and putting our top piece on, and then we'll bolt it back on. So we'll set this sucker down. All right. So this guy and the rim. So there's a little dip in the side here, that little ring. That's what dips right there, so that way you know which way you have it on. You don't have it turned backwards. So here, we're going to take our flathead, and we're going to go around and we're going to pop it all the way back around the edges. So there's all these little clips here, hook into the plastic all the way around. So take your flathead, let's start with a little, yeah, this one may work. I want one a little shorter. This guy will probably work. Let's see. Okay. I'm just putting straight down pressure on it, and then it'll pop in place there. Just work your way all the way around. This is another area where if you had an all leather, it makes this extremely difficult because the leather's so thick in that channel that it's really tough to get this plastic rim back in. Okay, there's that. Now, we'll get this guy's going to cover up here. So we probably want to come back through and clean up our overspray here because it's going to be a whole lot easier to clean these back corners without this in place. So I'm going to grab some adhesive remover. See if I got some. Yeah, I got some here. There's a rag. See if there's none. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So, spray a little on the rag. Just rub it off. All this front border here is going to be covered up by this piece here, so you don't need to clean the front edge, but anything from here back, you're going to see. So we're going to make sure we get all that off. Looks pretty good. All right, now we'll get those long metal pins. Get our lid. There's a little bit of glue on the back of this. Let's get that off. Now, set the lid on and start feeding the pin through. All right, now we'll start here. It. There we go. All right, now the lid's on. Perfect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this onto the frame. The last step I do is putting this piece back on, because if you ever need to change something or reset something, the only best way to get this off is by cutting the cover off. So we don't want to cut the new one off. So we're going to set this to the side. It's the last piece I put on. All right, let's move that there. Let's grab the frame. Okay, this piece here. Take, there's a plastic, that plastic. This piece, there's one more piece of plastic somewhere. Where did it go? There it is, right there. All right. Let me cap this on. So, this drops below the cover line, so get in there and you have to kind of feed it down through the cover. And it's got those little push tabs in it. So see if I get it low enough. Okay. There we go. Line those tabs up, push those on. That piece just squeezes to snap together. So that's good there. Then we'll hook and put that on. Then we'll put this piece on last, and that other trim piece will go on too. So there we go. All right, now this here. All right, so one side we've got our Torx, which will go through this side, and then we got our 13 millimeter 2 bolts that are going to go through on this side. So I'm going to pull this lever. Now this is spring loaded. When you pull this, it's going to snap down. So pull that, let it slowly come down. There we go. Now I usually rock this side because this side has a peg in it here. That peg is going to go through this groove. Let me show you here. That peg goes through this groove here. So that's the glide path from when it raises up and down, and then our Torx bolt is going to go through that hole. So I'm going to rock this thing in from that with that peg, come in here, and then run my bolts. So line that up, stick that through, come down. All right. Now, okay, so I can usually feel through. I'm gonna pull this out real quick. You can feel on the side here for your holes. You'll feel roughly where those guys go. There's a hole. Here we go. Okay, so 2 holes towards the front here, here and here. So I'm going to take, I got a little bitty flathead. I'm going to pop a hole there, pop a hole there. So now let's go and rock this thing back on. Okay, now I can see where those little holes were. Okay, take a 13 millimeter and then drive it on. Don't get it all the way tight, just get it in there, get the next one set. Okay, and we'll get our Torx on. Once we get that one threaded, then we'll come back and we'll tighten everything. Okay, let's get our T45 for this side. That's my 50. Maybe it is a 40. Is it 45? Yeah, 45. Which is here. All right. 13 to the side. 50. All right. So this has a little bit of play in it too. It should be pretty much towards the top. I'm going to take my little screwdriver and, yep, poke a hole, make sure I'm on that, lined up there. Stick our Torx in and run it through. There we go. Change back to our 13. Let's hit these 2 sides back. All right, now, there we go. So, last piece here, I'm going to raise it up. So on this one we got our little push tab here. We got a catch here that's going to hook on the top. So it goes on like this. So you're going to go from the top down, so that hooks on, swing it down, and that push, then this piece will push in, and this front has a catch too that wraps around that. That'll clip on. So we're going to go from top down. Okay. We can look through here and line up our push tab. That's there. Flashlight in there. Oop, there it is. Okay, I'm close. There it goes. All right. Front clip. Awesome. There we go. That drops. Opens up. Perfect. Okay, so now close this guy down. Everything's working right. Lid's open. Sides all mounted on. Good to put this piece on. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this guy up a little bit. Alright. Yep, line this back up, push it straight down, and it all clips back together. Boom. Here's that. There's that. All right, so Ford F-250, F-350, F-150s as well, with the 20 portion center jump seat. That's how to redo it. The bucket seats take a whole lot less time than this 20 portion. They're pretty time consuming and tedious to do. However, it's pretty difficult to do if you don't know how to do it all without seeing it. So this will show you everything you need to know on recovering this. Pretty much any 20 portion, whether it's Ford, Chevy, Dodge, they kind of go together the same way in terms of putting the console lid on, something like that. You're gonna wrap around, glue, staple on the inside edge if you need to. But all of them pretty much go together in the same kind of technique. So whatever 20 portion you got, this video can really help you out, showing you the steps of taking it apart, putting it back together. So here at the Seat Shop, we do all factory match seat covers for Ford, Chevy, Dodge, trucks, SUVs, Toyota. We do a lot of the Tundras, Sequoias, Acura MDX, TL, stuff like that. The bulk of our stuff is the truck and SUV line. So all of our stuff is factory matched to the original. So when you have a one piece that wears out, a driver bottom wears out, top wears out, or your console lid wears out, whatever, you can replace that single piece. It'll match the rest of your interior. That way you don't have to do the entire interior. You can just do a single piece at a time, whatever you need to replace. We match everything off VIN number, so just give us a call, give us your VIN, let us know what part you need to replace, and we'll get you hooked up. If you got any questions, give us a call, 214-710-2565. Check us out on our website at theseatshop.com. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.